Hey guys, so let me just fix this real quick. Um, starting to make. I don't know if I'm gonna say I'm gonna start making videos again, but I'm gonna make this video and just kind of break down a little bit of an update, and just a little bit about kind of what I've been thinking. But mostly an update on how I'm doing. I know many people might not care, but it it does have a message at the end that I think you might appreciate. Um, so last time I was doing videos, I was in with my parents at a condo in Pennsylvania, and I wasn't sleeping. I was manic at times. I couldn't I couldn't figure out what was wrong with me, but at the same time, it was almost as if I didn't care what was wrong with me. Like there was like this version of myself that just gave up and didn't want to participate in life, didn't want to like connect with people, didn't really want anything to do with anything. And that's pretty much what you would define as depression. Now, depression is all over. It's in the COVID pandemic that we're in. It's a pandemic that was already happening before this pandemic. Um, what I want you to understand about my version of depression is that it was very extreme and that I was ignorant to it, which made me anxious and it made me manic. Now, how some people might say, well, how can you be ignorant to your depression? Well, because when I took that, if you have seen my past videos, I talked about my LSD experience. With my LSD experience, it was like a punch in the face. It was a complete slap in the face because it took everything I once knew and once thought was real and completely turned it upside down in a matter of hours. Um, and me being the naive, you know, teenager that I was at that time, I was still kind of riding this high of invincibility that it didn't phase me. I was like, oh yeah, that was just a acid trip, and eventually it turned into a spiraling like insane depression, anxiety provoking, and manic phase in my life where I didn't know my right from my left. Um, so going back to why I say I was ignorant to my depression is because let's think about this. So I'm at a peak when I was high on LSD. I crashed, but I'm still riding this high of invincibility. So it's like this wave, this wave pattern of like indirect, you know, like kind of like I don't know how to describe it, but almost like there was a timing off where I would go up, but uh, I would actually be going down, and this kind of wave function started happening where I like I said, I didn't know what was what. And that was a very bad way to describe it, but if you kind of get the visual and what I'm trying to say, you'll kind of understand how I could be ignorant to my feelings, to my thoughts, to even and to myself, really. Um, and kind of like have this egotistical trip where, you know, like, oh, I can do this or I can do that. And it's like, but I can't. And I know that now, but when I was kind of kidding myself on my so-called recovery that I started making videos about, um, I can see now how I would think I was getting better, even though there was no chance in hell that if I didn't come around and start to understand a little bit more about why I do the things I do, or you know, like try to be involved in life. You know, that version of me that was like, oh yeah, I'm getting better, but still at home all day, overeating and not sleeping and sleeping in and vaping all the time. That version of me was not who I am. And I'm still on like life is beautiful because you you are always growing. There's never a perfect you. When you think you've reached perfection, that's when you've hit rock bottom. It in my belief, when you think that you're perfect, you are the farthest away from perfection that you can be. Um because think about it. Okay, say I'm perfect. What do I do next? You know, how can I continue to be perfect when, you know, there's other people out there with different opinions and like all this stuff? There is no such thing as perfection. The only things in life that are perfect are time, nothing, and God. God is perfect because he's still imperfect. Time is perfect because it never ceases to exist, and nothing is perfect because it never existed. Those are the three things that in my belief system that are perfect in my life. Now, I'll get into a little bit about why I brought those three things up. Um, but just to let you know, people who are dealing with depression and anxiety and going through a phase in life that are struggling, I just want you to know that everyone has a success story in life. Everyone. Um, you may see other people, you know, being successful, and you're probably thinking to yourself, well, why can't I be like that? Or why can't I have those things? Or why can't I be more like this person? Those people that are comparing themselves to other people are hurting themselves because you can't be like anyone else. Whether you know it or not, there is just you. So you sitting around like what I was doing, like when I was sitting around and being like, oh, like, I'm like I could be better than him, or I can do that. Riding this egotistical trip when some people aren't even at that high, but like for some reason, I was thinking I was better than people. But my point is comparison, or comparing and contrasting yourself to other people, is pointless because it doesn't do anything for them and it doesn't do anything for you. If anything, it's a lose lose because you're judging them, but you're also judging yourself. And why are we judging? Especially in times like this, we pass judgments all the time, and it's almost as if you make one judgment call about someone and you could be canceled in today's culture. So besides the judgment comes acceptance. You can accept that you're not as great as some of these other people that are having brilliant lives. And that makes you so much more powerful because it it gives you this spark of curiosity, of motivation, of you know, of self, of consciousness really. And you can use that spark to spark other things, and it's a chain reaction. So if you want to set up the dominoes and knock them down, be my guest. But if you can't set up the first domino, I mean, the, there's going to be no reaction. It's just going to be, there's no dominoes. And so therefore, you have to keep trying to set yourself up for the next challenge. Um, Okay, so I want to get back to the three things that are perfect that I define as perfect in life. So nothing. So do I believe in these three things as my superpower, as like not superpowers, but like my higher powers, sorry. Um so what pretty much in this trio you have a trifecta of pretty much three different stories. Um, God as the beginning of the end, time as the eternal driving force of everything in the universe, and nothing. Something so abstract and so powerful that uh, you have to be scared of it. You have to be. I mean, let's think about death for a second here, because I know I do a lot. And that has almost pulled me out of, you know, believing in something after death, has almost given me this spark of, hey, there's going to be more time to figure stuff out. Um and if anyone wants to talk about a belief system that is personal. Doesn't have to be about Catholicism or, you know, all these sanctioned religions that or like known religions that we know about today that have rituals. Like I'm talking about just what is in your mind and what you believe to be right and wrong. It's not fact. There's no facts about it. But what's beautiful about it is that people can talk about it and they can be like, well, I believe this to be true, and then someone can agree or disagree. Like those are all instances of like, you know, growth of of new doors opening, of new perspectives, and that's kind of how I would like people to perceive it, instead of being like, you have an opinion that's different than mine, well then I don't like you. Like people think that opinions are like are just like what people are saying to be true, and maybe it's been misconstrued along the lines that some people do that or come off like that. But an opinion is just saying like, hey, I like blank, fill in the blank. I don't even want to say anything 'cause I know how sensitive people are right now. And honestly, my mind went in like so many different directions too, where I was like, oh God, if I say that or if I say that. Anyway, what I'm saying is I'd like to create a community here that um isn't isn't hateful or and that's supportive of each other. And to like I'd like people to comment or just drop a like or something and just understand that there's always something to look forward to, whether it be the coffee in the morning or seeing your friend or seeing your funny coworker to cheer you up while you're on a long shift, anything. And these examples are so cliche. I'm going down a path that I'm like, okay, I don't want to start a Martin Luther King speech here. I'm just saying that I have seen the light at the end of the tunnel and it's not a train. And I'm like, oh, thank God it's not a train. But it's just so wonderful to kind of be enveloped in this aura of it's okay to think this, or it's not okay for you to, think this way about yourself. And I need to be more supportive of myself because I do get down on myself a lot still. But there's always something to work on. You can be sitting on your couch watching TV and you could be motivating yourself for the next day or to go for a walk. And if you're motivating yourself and you can't get up off the couch, then all I want you to know is that there needs to be a different way for you to spark your fire, whether it be meditating, whether it be, you know, challenging yourself with a workout or just going for a walk, or maybe you're materialistic and you need to get something, or you need to get something off your chest or off your mind that has been bothering you. It's okay. Trust me. I have been through so many challenges. And honestly, I can finally start to say that I can overcome these challenges. I can do it. Now, that might not be so motivational for you to hear because you probably heard it from your therapist or all this stuff. All I want you to do is just find something inside of yourself that interests you and find out more about it. It looking internally will eventually have results externally. All you have to do is believe that it's right. Thanks, guys.